Until it became a home for the creatures on it, the Earth went through a very long and challenging preparation phase, and the result has been perfect. It hosted millions of species. These species became a part of various food chains, and all creatures fulfilled their responsibilities for continuity. Trees, insects, birds, reptiles, and all other living beings on Earth lived in harmony. Much later than many other species, humans also joined this harmony. They exhibited their good behavior by being aware of the rules of nature, of their own limits and responsibilities. Humans respected nature and each of its parts, considering trees sacred and productive. They created myths and narrated in their epics that they came from trees that their communities considered sacred. Human beings always knew that as long as they didn't ruin the harmony, they would benefit from all the resources of the generous earth in the best possible way, and they didn't disrespect nature. They encoded this in their all trees were necessary for humankind. For example, they chose the beech tree for infinite wisdom, the pine for intelligence, the oak for courage, the juniper for joy, and they bowed respectfully before all trees for millions of years. Humanity reproduced, formed communities all around the world, formed civilizations, and transmitted the code from fathers to sons. In the Uyghur country, there was a region called Kumlanchu where the Orkhon and Selenge rivers merged. And in a place called Hulan Mountain, two trees grew very close to each other. One was a beech tree. One night, a blue light fell from the sky onto the beech tree. At night, the area around the tree was bathed in light from 30 steps away. One day, the trunk of the tree suddenly split open, revealing 5 small tents in the shape of 5 small chambers. In each chamber, there was a child. Each child had a pacifier hanging from their mouth. They were sucking milk from them. The people and the leaders of the communities showed great respect to these sacred children that were born from the light. The people living between the two rivers saw this light and watched in awe. It was a sacred light. The light remained on the beech tree for months. During the time the sacred light remained on the beech tree, its trunk grew and swelled. Beautiful ballads began to come out of it. The people who believed that all 5 children were sent by God wanted to make one of them the ruler. Bugu Han was the eldest. He appeared more handsome, intelligent, and courageous than the others. Since Bugu Tekken was superior to all of them, he became the ruler. Thus, as years pursued years, one day Gali Tekken became the ruler of the Uyghurs. The greatest rival was China. Gali Tekken wished to repair the relations with the Chinese by marrying Qi Lian, one of the Chinese princesses. However, the intentions of the Chinese were quite different. One day, the Chinese ambassadors, benefiting from the protection of the Chinese princess, arrived at Qi Lian's palace with their fortune tellers. They said, discussing among each other, the wealth and prosperity of the Hulan mountain depends entirely on a rock called Kutlu Mountain. If we want to destroy the Turks, we must take this rock away from their hands. After this conversation, the Chinese requested the rock itself in exchange for Qi Lian. The new Khagan, without considering or caring about the consequences of his request, accepted the Chinese desire and gave them the rock, which was a part of his homeland. However, Mount Kutlu was a sacred rock. The happiness of the entire Uyghur country depended on it. This magical stone represented the indivisible unity of the Turkic homeland. The Khagan gave the rock away, but the rock was not easy to remove and carry. The Chinese realized this and piled wood around the rock and set it on fire. When the rock was red hot, they poured vinegar on it and shattered it into pieces. They took each piece and carried it to their country. That's when it happened. All the birds and animals of Turkestan spoke up and cried in their own languages for the rock being given to the enemy. 7 days later, the thoughtless Khagan, whose sin was unforgivable, died. However, the country was not saved from disaster by his death. A rock from the homeland, which had been given away without hesitation for the sake of the Chinese princess, caused the disaster of Turkestan. The people did not see peace or comfort. The rivers dried up one by one. The water of the lakes evaporated. The soil cracked and crops did not grow. After some days, Bugu Khan ascended to the Turkic throne as the ruler. At that time, all living and non-living things, domestic and wild, young and old, all over the country, breathing and non-breathing, started to cry out, "Migrate! Migrate!" It was a deep, groaning, sorrowful cry, with hands on the chest. Hearts could not bear it. The Yugas understood this as a divine command. They gathered and took to the roads. They left their homes and nests and began to migrate to unknown lands. Finally, they came to a place and stopped, and the voices stopped there. The Yugas settled in this place where the voices were no longer heard, and established 5 settlements. For this reason, they named this place Besbalag. They lived and multiplied there. Many Khans, kings, and emperors have come and gone from the world. As people have discovered the resources of the world, they have begun to want more and more. They have not been satisfied with their own fertile lands and have started wars. They started not only ruling their own kind but also the other species. They have forgotten the codes in their memory and have ruthlessly plundered this magnificent world. The continuation of this plundering will cause the peoples to migrate from their homelands, just as in this epic. We, the youth, are concerned about our own future and the future of the planet. We believe that climate change and the loss of biodiversity are urgent and existential threats, not only for individuals but for all communities, societies, and economies. Young people and future generations deserve to have access to natural resources, clean air and water, livable land, as well as economic opportunities and the chance to create the future they want. With these thoughts in mind and taking into account the heritage that lives in our historical and cultural roots, we call for urgent action to address today's problems with the knowledge of the past. Because our planet needs us to do this.